Calling, guys. Talk to me nice.
Welcome back to Sports Tea. Welcome back to Sports Tea.
Talk to me nice. Nice. Calling, guys. Talk to me nice. Calling, guys. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sports Tea. I know it's been a few days. I was in Phoenix for work and I really wanted to go live while I was there, but I genuinely didn't have any time. It was just boom, 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 crazy. But so much has been going on this week. The play-in tournament has been going on. I can't wait to address that. I might come back later on, like super late this evening, and just really get into that with you guys, break down some games. That would be really fun for me. So more to come on that. If not today, then for sure tomorrow. Really great stuff that I want to talk about there and just how those games were played. But this morning, I have to come into the room with you guys and address Rich Paul. My gosh, when we talk about a blind witness, this man, he's the leader. He's like the leader, the cult leader, the Klutch cult leader. He is the leader of the blind witnesses. And I'm going to break this down for you. We're going to react to what Rich Paul had to say. I do want to thank everyone for joining the stream this morning. As you load into the room, do me a solid favor and like the video. And more importantly, share the video. Share it on your social media. Let your friends and family know about Sports Tea, and let's grow the network together. Let's blow this community up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go and click the subscribe button for me. And also click the little bell so that you can get the notifications of when we're going live so you don't miss the show. But salute to everybody in the chat. I see Spurzan, Horizon Vibe. Shout out to all the moderators. Hit them. I see Lewin here. Nufo. Thanks for joining me this morning. Renee. Jack Snipper. RN. Gene Beasley. It's not that serious. Brother Juma. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. So, can you guys can all hear me well? We're in good sound quality this morning. Let me get a 1 if you can hear me. So we're good to go, it seems. Okay. Let's just jump right into this Rich Paul topic. As you guys know, and I'm sure you've heard, I had a couple of you guys texting me, Brother Juma, amongst a few other people, like, hey, did you hear about what Rich Paul had to say? Can you believe this bum? Look, he is the mastermind behind Klutch Sports. He's the mastermind behind the narratives that LeBron James himself pushes. I don't think that I'm not going to say that he's not smart enough to come up with these things. I'm sure he is. I'm sure there's sometimes LeBron has an idea. He takes it to Rich Paul. How can we make this happen? How can you manufacture my GOAT status? How can we do this? So they, for years, have probably sat down and continue to figure out, okay, you just do this. Here's a game plan over the next decade or so for you to become the greatest of all time. And this is how we're going to play it. And these are the narratives that we're going to push. And this is, the path. So they created this path to GOAT status, or at least to GOAT conversation, right? If we just keep this conversation going, it won't matter if you're the GOAT or not. And I'm sure that's really the line of thinking. It's a marketing tool. It's more about, how can we perpetuate this conversation of being the GOAT, and it's between Michael Jordan and LeBron James. But Rich Paul, he is just so calculated, and he's such a liar. He's one of the best liars that we've ever seen. He comes off as so professional, so knowledgeable. Just you have it when he speaks, it's almost as if you have no reason to not believe him. And it's funny because Skip Bayless, he sort of has coined the term blind witness, right? And when we think about a blind witness and when he says it, we just think it's all of these crazy LeBron fans that they're blind to the holes in his game and the fact that there's no way that he could possibly be the GOAT. There's no way that he's even the greatest of all time in this era. And we could debate it, but the fact is there was never a debate about Michael Jordan when he played the game and when he was in his prime and when he dominated the league. Nobody even questioned who was the greatest in the league at that time. There was never a debate as to who the best player was in the league while Michael Jordan played. And right now, this is not a MJ versus LeBron discussion. This is about Rich Paul. And I want to talk to you guys really quickly about what a blind witness is. So, yes, Skip Bayless has coined this phrase and, what it really derives from, it's a legal term that sort of is it's a person that they want to ensure will not have a biased income. I'm sorry, a biased, uh, sort of like basically, a blind witness is someone who they are trying to make sure is non-biased and that the case will have a non-biased outcome as a result of this blind witness. So it could be somebody that, goes into a lineup and, they want to ensure that there's no way that they could have been compromised, et cetera. But anyway, the blind witness is typically used in legal situations, but in the casual context, here's just some like verbiage that AI has given. And it's really, interesting because, a blind witness, it could refer to someone who's just unaware. And so Skip Bayless, yes, he's referring to people who don't know, maybe the people who have never watched Michael Jordan play or older generations of the game. They just don't know. So they're sort of like ignorant. So they lack the knowledge about basketball, even the 75 years in the history of the sport, they're lacking in that. They just simply don't know. They might have some overall understanding of basketball and what they see today and this era and how this game is played, but they have no idea about the physicality in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They have no idea about the skill set of those players, the moves that they invented, the unguardable moves that still to this day have never been duplicated or replicated. This lack of awareness, it's as though the witness is not fully informed. They don't know these key details that the 90s, the 80s was just so much more physically challenging than today's sport, that there's no defense today, but in fact there was before. The game was predicated on both offense and defense. And they're overlooking that detail. So there's like an inadvertent oversight. And their attention span, and this is key, perhaps due to a lapse in attention or focus on other aspects of the situation. When you think about it, people today are not even watching the game. So they're not watching the games in full, right? They're going to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever we want to call it, and they're watching these highlights. They're watching debate TV. They're watching just, something quick, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but they're not sitting down and actually watching the play-by-play 2-hour game. And then because of that, I think because of that lack of knowledge and these oversights that they have because they just simply don't know, once they then find out that they didn't know, once they find out how much greater the game was in the 80s, the 90s, shit, even the 70s, maybe even the 60s, it was better than today's sport. I'm going to roll with every single era is better than today. Then they begin to purposefully withhold that information from us. They want to hide that. They want to change. They actually want to lie and then change and revise that history. They want to say that there's no way that Wilt Chamberlain can dominate in today's sport. And we see him shooting from mid-range. We see him, defending in his late 30s and really just being so athletic. That's what we see in film when we watch Wilt Chamberlain. We see a guy that looks way better than LeBron James on the court, way better than Giannis Antetokounmpo on the court. There's no way that Giannis would go back in time and dominate in Wilt Chamberlain's era. And there's no way that LeBron James would either. And when he says that Giannis would, he really means that he would. Because I'm sure he believes that he's the greatest of all time. So he believes he's better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So if Giannis can go back in time and average 250, then what would LeBron James go back and average? He's basically saying that he would go back and do some real damage there. And that's just ridiculous, right? And so, yeah, I mean, we can go on and, obviously a blind witness, it's used in a casual setting. It's not just about uh, being involved in a crime. And I think really it's used in the context of being like sort of like covering up something, a secret cover up. So I think that Rich Paul he's not just the pawn, but he's the facilitator in all of this nonsense. And I mean, he's a pathological liar. And we're going to play some sound from Rich Paul of him saying and lying to pad LeBron James's legacy. And he does that on the Pat McAfee show. Of all shows, he goes to Pat McAfee. And I mean, it begs the question, did LeBron go to Pat McAfee because he was guided and directed by Rich Paul? I'm sure he was. And he's going to continue this partnership with Pat McAfee and continue to be sort of a clown in the circus, a monkey in the circus, performing for, this racist white man that just, wants to get black people on his show and brag about it, that he was able to get Klutch Sports and LeBron James to talk to a white guy. But anyway, we're going to play this sound from Rich Paul. He is completely disrespecting Chris Bosh from the Miami Heat Big Three. He's saying that the Miami Heat was not a Big Three. And it's just awful and ridiculous. I'm going to play this sound and we're going to listen to it now and react.
And so, look, the names on the back of the jersey is one thing. We've seen it not work in other instances 20 years ago. It didn't work when the Lakers had all the names. They walked into Detroit and they was beat 4-1 in the finals. So that's not the end all be all. I always love a big two. I don't really love a big three. I don't really. People talk big three, but the big three thing has never really worked. And you say, well, what happened in Miami? That wasn't really a big three. There was three guys that went in the lottery and they did really well individually on their team, so they put up big numbers and had big accomplishments. But when you think about it, Bosh was the ultimate professional. He took a back seat and he played a role in which, because he had such a high IQ and he was such a professional as an individual, his approach to everything is what made that work. When you look in Boston, okay, you can say Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was a big three. Again, thinking about names, but the way that offense was ran, Rondo's capability during that time, it was a lot different. When you've seen people go for that, it never really worked. And I've had this conversation with several different, owners of teams and having this debate, whether you go big three, whether you not go big three. I like a big two in depth is what I like. That seems to be a winning pedigree.
Need people to buy in. We talk about that Olympic team, and it's like you got all these superstars that are just doing their role, doing their job. Tatum not even playing.
But how many of them played big? I mean, you look at the effort that Devin Booker made. He starred in a role on that team. But on that team coming in there, you have this approach already to know that this is what I have to do. It's very hard to get the guys to do that on a team that I'm a max player on, so I should be this player, right? And then you have the people around them and the comments being made. It's just, it's all about the mindset and your approach. So, but I prefer, again, I don't want to go into team ownership or run a team, but if I was to do that, my focus would be a big two, depth, guys with a professional attitude and approach, guys that want to start in a row and that are selfless night in and night out and giving a valiant effort on both ends of the floor night in and night out. And that normally equates to winning. I've been a part of winning teams for many years, whether it's through high school, in the pros, been around it for many years. That equates to winning for sure. So it also equates to winning within an environment of what you guys are building and business as well.
Yeah, so, everything. I think you get everybody bought in. Obviously, that is the best for the entire team. You look at what Boston's doing right now, right? That's Tatum and Brown, and then everybody just kind of bought in around that.
No doubt.
And they have selfless. Pritchard's selfless.
Yeah.
We know what Holiday brings to the table. Derek White, we've seen what he did, in the Olympic team and also in Boston. Just a selfless mentality. Look at Al Horford.
Yeah.
Again, been in the league for so many years, a champion, selfless. And so that is a winning pedigree. It just is.
And then even if you go back, like that's how the Spurs won so many championships. Like they had.
Hey, Ginobili could have started on any team in the NBA. He embraced the role coming off the bench as a sixth man, but he finished the game, and he was unbelievable. So, again, we've seen this work time and time again, and I guarantee you that ask any GM, any winning coach, any winning owner, they'll tell you the same thing.
Well, let's talk about Big Two that there is now.
Rich Paul is a pathological liar, guys. Miami Heatles team was absolutely a big three. There were 3 number 1 options brought to one team to play together. That's a big three. And look, we can just take a look right here. All 3 of these guys are all-stars. And just to be clear, I mean, why is Rich Paul disrespecting Chris Bosh like this? Why? Chris Bosh's career average was almost 20 points a game with the Toronto Raptors. 8.5 rebounds, 2 assists. In his peak with Toronto, he was averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. So how is he not... Like, I'm just trying to figure out why was he not included in this big three? Why are we changing it damn near 20 years later? How dare he? I just don't understand how Rich Paul gets to revise history on the Pat McAfee show. And because he went to Pat McAfee, this white guy, all of a sudden, the opinion is more qualified? Is the opinion more qualified and it must make it true, and we're just going to spread these lies on the Pat McAfee show because we can't go to ESPN and Stephen A. Smith, guys that are going to challenge you. I don't even think that he could go to Shannon Sharp and go to Nightcap and spread some kind of lie like this. Maybe he could, but I just don't think that it would be, I think it would be challenged. Pat McAfee is kind of like a joke as it pertains to covering basketball. So, yeah, let's just go to the Pat McAfee show. This white guy who's desperate to make black people look a fool and to, make a mockery of the fact that these guys are sitting down with him, giving him the privilege of these interviews. And he just decides that this is the platform to spread these lies. And I think it's absolutely disgusting. And when we take a look at Chris Bosh, legendary power forward in the game, Hall of Famer, he's somebody that would never fight back against this. He just wouldn't. But, I mean, look at Kevin Garnett, another power forward. He averaged about the same. Are we going to sit here and say that Boston wasn't a big three? So Rich Paul literally in one breath is saying that Boston was a big three, but the Miami Heat was not. And you had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. They were at the end of their prime when they got together. They were not in the beginning of it. They were at the end of their prime when they got together as teammates. And I mean, LeBron James was still just a kid. He had to sit next to Dwayne Wade and really be mentored by him as far as even what to say in the press. He needed Dwayne Wade's support, mentorship, guidance. He didn't have a father. He needed to learn from somebody how to carry himself. But I have to say, like, Rich Paul is an absolute disgrace for telling these lies. LeBron is fake. Okay, this is crazy. They're going to Pat McAfee for a reason, because he has this widespread audience, because he's got over 1 million. I think he might have 2 million subscribers on his podcast. So they figure, how can we cast the widest net on these lies? How can we spread these lies the furthest, the farthest, the fastest? Let's go to Pat McAfee. Who cares if he's racist? Who cares if he's been just as negative and nasty and hateful about you, LeBron? And we'll get to that in another, show, in another production. Pat McAfee doesn't like LeBron, and he's spoken on it loud and proud in the past. He said he's done with LeBron. He even criticized him about China, just like most white people, most racist white people do. And I mean, there's a lot to criticize there, but it's just very common. And Pat McAfee, he was one of those people. And it's very well documented. And we're going to get into that in, a later show, probably, tomorrow, maybe the next day. But this Rich Paul interview with Pat McAfee is a disgrace. And I think that Klutch Sports strikes again. This is just another instance where Klutch Sports strikes and has, been essentially just spreading lies, spreading false narratives, spreading hate. I think it's really interesting that they complain. The players today complain that nobody's celebrating this game, but yet they turn around and they do things like this. It's just disgusting and disrespectful. It's unreal. You disrespect today's players, guys like Chris Bosh, and they do it because Chris Bosh is a class act. He's never said a bad word about LeBron. He's never come out and said a bad word about anybody in this league. He's very respectful. He's very quiet. He's living his life. I believe he still has, a very beautiful wife and, a happy family, I think. But he's just in the shadows, and LeBron James isn't worried about him coming out to refute anything. And that's what makes Rich Paul, Klutch Sports, LeBron James, that's what makes them a bully. Because they pick on people that either can't fight back or won't fight back. Pick on somebody your own size. Pick on somebody with the moxie, the guts, the balls to come back at you and say something. Not Chris Bosh. Don't denigrate him and his legacy, who, by the way, he's a Hall of Famer. When you have a Hall of Famer on your team, they're just a professional. They're just a guy. They're just a role player. What kind of nonsense is that? This is a team sport. Basketball is a team sport. And at minimum, you're going to have at least 5 guys on the court. And you can't win without at least an additional 4 guys on the court. So I'm tired of this. I'm tired of these narratives that are built to serve LeBron, his legacy, and tear down the other players in the league. That's what he's doing. He's tearing down everybody else currently, yet saying that we need to celebrate this. And that brings me to my next topic. LeBron James is telling us as fans that we need to learn how to appreciate the game of basketball and today's basketball in particular. And he discusses this with Steve Nash on Mind the Game in episode 2. And, it just begs the question, like, does LeBron James think that NBA fans are stupid? The way he talks to us is so rude, so condescending. He talks down to us. And I believe that it's because he's this billionaire guy. He's been doing it for years, saying, I'm going to go back to my rich lifestyle while you guys have to wake up to the same everyday dead end job, or whatever it is that he said, right? And it was really a low comment to make. It was disgusting. And I feel that he speaks with elitism oftentimes, and I don't really quite understand why. But I'm sure it's the money. I'm sure it's the power and the prestige that he's built. And we're going to listen to some sound from LeBron James and Steve Nash talk about the way that we should be appreciating the game as NBA fans. And they're sort of scolding us and letting us know that, we just don't understand. We're ignorant to the fact that, the game is just so much better today. And perhaps if we actually even watched the game back then, we would realize that we don't really like it. But I'm going to let you guys listen, and we're going to react from there.
Of course, you adapt, you learn, but like the game's come so far from, like you said, the 2 bigs, the clutching, grabbing, chucking, the hand checking up the court. Like, man, it was stodgy back in the day.
Right, yeah, for sure, absolutely.
That's the thing. Like, we'll get to this later in the series, but like, the talk around sometimes, some people aren't as happy with the way the game is. Like, we need to help teach fans like how great the game is now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going back to that.
Right.
It's a lot of nostalgia. There's other factors, but like the game is great, and we need to teach people how to appreciate.
Yeah, we
this.
just need to. I think to have an appreciation, and I think if our fans will really go back and watch some of those games,
right,
they'll realize
Right.
then maybe that's not something we will
Right.
want to see on a night-to-night
Right.
basis.
I agree.
Because the difference between our game now is that all of our games are on television every single day, either nationally, locally, or through League Pass.
Mhm.
So you can watch all of our games. In the 80s and the 90s, you may be able to catch one game if you had it locally. If your team had a local broadcast
Mhm.
deal, you could catch it. And if not, then you may not see a game
Right.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Like
the NBC
NBC,
broadcast,
NBC broadcast. Maybe once every couple.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
You maybe catch one or two games, every other week. So, I think the nostalgia of the game. I think it's just a deeper conversation of why we should appreciate and celebrate our game of basketball today, our athletes of today.
Sure.
Just like the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s guys were celebrated, and 2000 guys were celebrated. So it's definitely a conversation we get to later.
We'll get to it. I'm excited about that for sure. But how about this? At what point of the summer are you like, I want to get in game shape? And how do you, is it like September? Is it in training camp? You prep to get.
LeBron James is just insufferable. I mean, we can't make this shit up, guys. He's literally telling us that, you think you like 90s basketball, but you don't. You don't really like that. You don't actually like defense. That's not something that you want to watch on a night-to-night basis. No, you don't want to watch that. And that's a lie. I would watch that every day and twice on Sunday over watching something current. I would watch old games if they would replay them every single day. I would watch that in lieu of watching this. I would watch 70s basketball every day in lieu of watching these guys. Why? Because those guys weren't walking through the tunnel worried about their outfit and wearing purses and whatever else, dresses and all these things. They came out there ready to play. They weren't worried about podcasts, gossiping on a podcast about, I don't know, nothing, then going out on the court playing like poop. They didn't load manage. They came out there ready to compete, and it was really and truly just the sheer competition. I love to compete at work. Oh my gosh, I always want to win at work. I want to push my team to be better, even if it's just 1% better every day. I want them to be better every day, better every week, better every month, better every quarter, better every year. That's what I'm looking for out of my team. And it's the competition. I want to be the best team in the company. And so because of that, I look at today's NBA and I see that there's no like will to compete. You don't see it. You see them like, you see opposite teams sort of getting along. The East Coast, they get chippy over there, and you see it. You see it with Anthony Edwards. He's competitive. He's bringing that fierce kind of swag, will to compete back to the game. That's what I feel, and I see that in some people. But out of these stars that refuse to retire and refuse to leave, the Kevin Durant's, the LeBron James, it's just like they show up and it's like they're just there to remain. I don't feel that they're inspiring. For me, like in the game of basketball and anything that you do that's a team sport, it's kind of like inspire or retire. If you're just showing up to play and to be here and to show everybody that you're still in shape and that you can actually get on the court and play, I don't need you. I don't need you to just consistently try to show me what you can do. I need you to make an impact and figure out what you're going to do to help this team win. I don't need you for the storyline because I'm going to put butts in seats no matter what. And people just, they live for having stars on their team, and they believe that stars brings the butts in the seats, but I just don't. A team like the Lakers, they're going to sell tickets regardless. And then, of course, LeBron wants to deflect to how the NBA was consumed back then. I mean, there was multiple forms of media that they don't use today, like radio. Radio isn't a thing today. We don't like listen to the games on audio anymore. We don't pick up the newspapers either. There were other ways to consume the sport, but people watch TV and they watched a lot of it. The fact is the interest level in the sport is for a short attention span. It's for a couple of minutes. That's why LeBron James, Rich Paul, Klutch Sports, they're able to spread these lies because people don't actually watch the game. People aren't even going to remember what happened in this era because they saw a clip on social media, and they know this. LeBron, Rich Paul, they know this. That's why they do these kind of marketing scams. That's why they go to these platforms and they spread these lies, because it's going to be believed, because people didn't watch anyway. People aren't watching today's game. NBA Finals might average 5-10 million views. Michael Jordan had it at about 30 million views. And yes, it decreased when Kobe, was starring in the league as well, but not by the amount that it decreased as LeBron has been in this league and in the LeBron James era. Kobe Bryant was averaging anywhere 15, 20 million views. Not bad. Not Michael Jordan, but he wasn't out there saying that he was the GOAT. LeBron, I struggle with the things that he says. I mean, Rick Bucher said it best. How do LeBron James fans reconcile? Like, how do they reconcile the things that he says? They're idiotic. They're stupid. He's literally telling us that what our eyes see are deceiving us. Just because, they know and they're aware that fans today don't watch, but back then we watched. And he makes his own point look stupid when he tries to say that games were not televised as much. That's why more people watch, but nobody's watching today. So maybe they should dilute the amount of games that are nationally televised. Maybe, and let's see if people will watch it. I don't think that they will. And the reason why is because there's load management. So you have guys playing anywhere from 40 to 50 games in a season, 55 games, a lot of these stars, and the people are still not watching. So the sport is kind of, in a way, even though there's more nationally televised games, the stars don't show up to play. And people aren't watching when they do show up to play and when they don't. So LeBron James is just wrong. His argument is, it doesn't make sense. It's erroneous. It's bullshit. I reject it. I rebuke this argument because it's dumb. And of course, he can't help but to insult players of the past. Oh, this is not what you think you really want to watch on a nightly basis. So we want to watch no defense. We want to watch you flop and fall all over the floor. That's not what I want to watch. We want to watch you get blown by Steph Curry. There's a lot of guys, there's a lot of OGs that have a problem with the way that LeBron James is going about things. They have a problem with it. They're tired of it. And Tim Hardaway is one of those people. And it brings me to my next topic, because he went scorched earth on Gil's Arena. Maybe it was about a month ago. And I didn't talk about it because there were some things that Tim Hardaway said that were a little bit ignorant, like saying that Magic Johnson had AIDS. He didn't have AIDS. He had HIV. But Tim Hardaway, I mean, he cannot stand the way that his era and past generations of basketball are being spoken about. And I don't blame him. I think that LeBron James and players today, Anthony Edwards, they have been disrespectful. They have not done their homework. They have spoken out of turn. They have spoken ignorantly, from not knowing, not watching. And they've made a fool of themselves and this era of basketball, this soft league, this soft era. And Tim Hardaway, he had a lot to say about it on Gil's Arena. And he came down there and he blew up the set. And you know, I want to play this for you, and I hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I did.
It was very competitive. We know how to play the game. We had very good IQ about the game. We was very studious about playing against people, playing with one another. Who, you know, just looking. We didn't call out plays. We just looked. You know, that's a back door. We just look, throw it past his ear. All right, he playing this way, he playing that way. Guys today don't talk like that. But and I say this, a lot of people don't know. Y'all got a GM here in Jimmy Butler. You know, I disagree with everything he did with the Miami Heat and how he went about it, but that dude can really play. That dude can really play. And I'll tell you this, if everybody stays healthy, they won't be in the playing game. They'll be in the playoffs.
Okay. Tim, are you gassing these people? You really think that the Warriors stay healthy, they will be in the playoffs?
If Draymond Green stay healthy, they will be in the playoffs.
Okay, well, shout out to the Warriors fans. Y'all agree with Tim? Y'all think the Warriors making the playoffs? Jimmy Butler and that crew? The Steph era goes on. But so when you came up here, you said you had something about the 90s basketball. Gil's comments you want to address the rest of the couch.
You know, everybody talking about Mike. Mike is the GOAT. Mike was that bad motherfucker. Mike, you know, had it going on. Mike didn't let people beat him. Mike didn't. He went on about his business. He didn't let people, you know, beat him, and he knew how to play the game. But you all think that we couldn't play. You say, you know, he playing against some scrubs, or he playing against some guys that can't play, and we let him do this and we let him do that. No, man. A lot of you guys couldn't play in our fucking era.
Ooh.
Y'all couldn't play in our era.
Any guys on this couch?
Gil could.
Okay.
We would have beat his ass. We would have knocked him on his ass.
I would have went right by you.
I'm too tall for y'all.
No. You probably wouldn't have made it out because you would have been in the game. You would have been in the game because you wouldn't have had that mentality to make it out. But Gil, he probably could have hung. Oh yeah, it was, you know, when we was growing up.
I couldn't play against Elo and all the motherfuckers.
Hey,
man, you better stop him, Hardaway.
You talking about Ego?
Stop this shit.
You talking about Ego from the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yes, all that.
That motherfucker was nice. That motherfucker was nice. Your game was all right, but you know, you think it was nice.
Man,
your shit was all right.
Let's stop.
Yeah, your shit was all right.
It was a couple of y'all back in 85 from 89. It was a couple good. You was one of them. Had the Tim Hardaway crossover and all that. But come on, man.
Go ahead. Name another guy. I can't hear you.
I would name Mark Price. Where would he stand?
Mark Price is a bad motherfucker. He don't get his just due.
But where would he be ranked in this era? If he was
ranked with this era, it's a lot of motherfuckers couldn't stay with Mark Price. Mark Price was a fast white guy. He could stop on the dime, shoot in your face, split the double team, knew how to pass the ball, knew how to play the game. Mark Price was a bad motherfucker.
A speedy Caucasian.
You know, Rod Strickland, another motherfucker.
Yeah.
Kevin Johnson, another motherfucker.
Johnson.
All right, we got some bad motherfuckers in our era.
No, the 90s is fine. My complaint was the 80s. So I was talking about the 80s. So there's this illusion about the hand check. And I always use you as an example. And I said, if the hand check was so dominant, then how can the scoring guard come in as rookies, tearing everybody's ass up, right? So there was only a few back then, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin Johnson, and then you. And I'm saying if the hand check was what everyone said it was, when the scoring guard, the guy who comes downhill, when he came into the game, why wasn't it affecting him?
I'm going to tell you this. When we came into the game, Kevin Johnson, myself, even Mark Price, we was fast enough and quick enough, and we can handle the ball. And we used to get out of the offense. And we used to not run offense. If you was going to hand check us, we used to not run offense, and we used to take our man. So he had to understand, oh, these motherfuckers ain't running offense. These guys we got to play them legit. Other guards, say like Derek Harper, he didn't have that, you know, those handles to get past somebody. Like Brandon, you and Brandon, y'all had handles to get past. If somebody picked you up, you laughing at them.
Yes, yeah.
Y'all laughing at them.
For sure.
So yeah, that's what it was. When they picked us up, we was laughing at them. Then they had to start picking us at half court.
So my theory was right. Like when people talk about the hand check, and I'm like, it only worked against guys who were running, who had big men, who were sitting there, you know, back to the basket, trying to run offense. So it's easy to hand check.
Exactly.
Somebody who's coming full speed, you can't do nothing.
No, you cannot.
Okay. So Tim, I got a question for you. Prime Tim Hardaway versus Prime Gilbert Arenas. Who's getting cooked?
I would kill him.
You would kill Gilbert.
First of all, you know what? I start taking him down low. This is what I do. In my mind, I say, I'm gonna post him up about 3 or 4 times. Put all his ass on his chest, move him, jump hook, turn around.
All that ass.
Oh yeah. I mean, I put all this on. Then I come at you.
What's funny is when I first started to play, I had your crossover down.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then my arms got too long and the shit was on the floor. No, here's something that I've complained or I fought for.
I used to love watching you in college too.
Oh, appreciate it.
You was a beast.
Appreciate it.
I love that.
Tim Hardaway, he went off. He's not playing around with these guys. He was there to let him know. And I mean, who's going to check Tim Hardaway? Who was going to check him on this stage? Nobody did. Gil's Arena felt like he got one with the hand check comment that he made, but really he didn't. I mean, when you pick up somebody 94 feet, where are you going? So you can be fast as all you want to be, but when you have a really great defender on you who's picking you up full court, yeah, that run full speed stuff isn't going to work. But when you're given that head start and you get the ball down further the court, yeah, you can run the ball down, but you can't always do that. So Tim Hardaway didn't address that point, and I think that he really just kind of wanted it to be known that his era was, you know, that era. He wanted it to be known that Michael Jordan's the GOAT. He wanted it to be known that guys today could not play with them. That is what he wanted to make clear. He wasn't really there to address the 70s or the 80s, and he wasn't caping for the entire 75 years. He was just letting it be known Michael Jordan's the GOAT. You guys couldn't play at that time. Sorry, that's the time that I played, and that's what I'm going to speak on. And you guys, you couldn't hang with us. You couldn't sit with us. You can't be, at that table. I do want to take a moment to read the super chat from Brown B. Salute to you, Brown B. Labalco and his mouthpiece, Timu Big Boy, will continue to cap until he is the GOAT by default. It will ultimately fail, and he will pay the price. We'll see. I don't know if LeBron James will ever be truly exposed on a wide scale. I don't know if mainstream media will ever actually fully turn their back on him and expose him for the devious, evil person and sort of just cancer that LeBron James and Klutch has been to this league. I don't know if they're going to expose him for being a cheater, for cheating the game, for potentially being on PEDs. I don't know if that's really going to come out. We'll see. I do want to read some more comments from you guys. Salute to everybody in the chat. If you can do me a favor, like the video. Let's see how many likes we have today. Let's see. So we've got about 181 people watching. We've got just 85 likes. Let's run up the likes to about 150, guys. I know we can do it. Like the video, like. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, just smash the subscribe button for me. And also don't forget to update your notifications so that you're notified when Sports Tea goes live. Rap God Reloaded, you thought nostalgia was ruining the game? I mean, that's what they say, right? That's what Channing Frye says. That's what basically LeBron is here on Mind the Game to tell us every single episode, that we need to appreciate him in this era, and nostalgia is ruining the game. It's not that. We're just asking for a better brand of basketball. We're asking for basketball over storylines. We're asking for talent and hard work to prevail over officiating and, preferential players sort of being moved through the league and given the privilege that they don't deserve because they're lacking in talent and athleticism. So, be gamer, Horizon, the LeBron haters won't hit the like. They hate the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. So when we talk about what LeBron James is actually standing for, when we talk about his devious plots, when we talk about the way that he's manipulated manufactured titles and has just basically cheated the league and the game of basketball, people don't like it. They don't want to hear the things that they can see that's right in front of their face, that they choose to turn a blind eye to, that they choose to be a blind witness to. They don't want to hear these things, guys. They just don't want to hear it. From Shades Cal, I was watching an old Bulls game. There were so many people in the paint, I could not even figure out what was going on. Look, there were some games that weren't good. Even Michael Jordan, I mean, they used to sag off Michael Jordan early in his career. I think the first maybe 2-3 seasons of his career, they would sag off of him so that he could just, shoot bricks. They would collapse into the paint and force him to shoot threes. And I mean, they were clickety clankety bricks sometimes, until Michael Jordan, he went out there and worked on his game. Season over season, he got better. We don't really see that in today's league and in these players today. We don't see them really trying to work on their craft and be the best that they can be, for themselves, for their teammates, for NBA fans, so that we're getting the best product. That's not what we're not looking at guys that operate that way with integrity. And that's really what I would say. So coming out and just trying to cheat the system like it's welfare and try to just squeeze as much money as you can get out of the NBA, even though you're already rich. Like imagine getting a $50 million contract and trying to like squeeze more money at the end of your career, and you've been getting paid $50 million every year for quite some time. Could you imagine being a billionaire and trying to like squeeze more money? Could you imagine being James Harden, having a dad bod showing up that way to the NBA, and you've made $500 million in your career in the NBA? That's not playing for the love of the game. That's what people don't understand about today's league and what NBA fans see. We do see a lack of playing for the love of the sport and a lack of respect for NBA fans. LeBron James doesn't have any respect for NBA fans. Neither does Rich Paul. They lie to us. They just literally come right out and insult us. Miami Heat 2010 team was not a big three. We actually don't know what we're looking at. The 90s basketball isn't really the brand of basketball we'd want to see on a night in and night out basis. But we want to see this. This is the brand of basketball we want to see. He's telling us what we actually want to see. He's telling us what we really like, even though we're saying, hey, we don't like this. We don't want this. He's forcing it down our throat. And it's just funny because, NBA players of the past, even the current ones, don't really respect LeBron James. There are guys that say nice things about LeBron. I mean, Rajon Rondo wanted to become a head coach. I'm sure that he thought saying nice things about LeBron would get him that position. He didn't get it. He didn't do mind the game with Rajon Rondo, who helped him win a title in 2020. And I mean, so many guys who speak on today's game, they don't really respect LeBron James. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, they have a podcast, and they try to say things to elevate today's game and to elevate today's players, and even they struggle with it. Kevin Garnett will just blurt out, these guys couldn't make it back then. They just couldn't make it back then. And, Paul Pierce, he appeared on the Skip Bayless show, and it was an interview for Skip to have with him that I really enjoyed it. I actually loved Paul Pierce on Undisputed when he was on the show after Shannon Sharp left. I really liked Skip and Paul Pierce's chemistry, actually. I think that they could have done the show just those two. In fact, I don't know that Paul Pierce really wanted that, but I think that would have been better for the show than all of the extra guests that he had. I think that Paul Pierce and Skip Bayless would have done a really nice job together. But anyhow, he brings him back to his podcast, the Skip Bayless Show, and they have a really good conversation. They talk about what it was like early in Paul Pierce's career. And the one-on-one, it was really great. I enjoy Paul Pierce a lot. I think that he was an excellent player. He wasn't the most athletic, but he worked really hard. He was a really great defender, great slasher, knockdown shooter, very skilled player, great teammate, and NBA champion, NBA legend, Hall of Famer. He talked about what it was like to guard LeBron, and just how he was able to get in his head, how he perceived LeBron early in his career. He discusses it. He talks about really just how weak of a player LeBron James was mentally. He talks about how he just really didn't view him as the guy. He didn't have this killer instinct. He just didn't have what it takes to be a winner consistently. And Paul James talks about it, and I want you guys to hear what he had to say about guarding LeBron and playing against him for many years.
Yeah, the one thing that set you apart to me early on was your commitment to the other end of the floor. Maybe Luka and Joker don't have that kind of commitment, but where you won me over was right away as LeBron burst onto the scene. I thought you were the best at guarding LeBron of anybody ever. And I wanted you to go a little deeper into what was the secret of guarding LeBron. And this is explosive LeBron. This is that early Cleveland LeBron where he could just go off on people because he probably didn't weigh 270 at that point, but he could jump out of the gym and do a lot of athletic things.
Yeah, the thing with LeBron, you have to take away his straight line angles. And he wasn't really a great shooter coming in.
No.
So you have to negotiate the ball screens. You have to negotiate whether you're going to go under or over. And I always went under on him. If he's not getting no jumpers, you could go under ball screens. You got to put your hands on him. You got to be kind of a little more physical with him, knock him off his spots. Because I would watch him and players wouldn't be physical with him. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just like, you know, so when I flashed up with him, I wanted to make sure I kept a body on him. I grabbed him. Like, even when he didn't have the ball, just make him work at all times. But, like, you know, before he started getting any kind of consistent jumper and he didn't make free throws consistent, I would just foul him or go under screens until he got more consistent in making those shots. When he got to Miami, he started making shots. And it was just like, okay, that's when he took his game to the next level. But I always welcome the challenge of guarding him because hearing about him, it's crazy. The first time I heard about this kid, he was in high school. And remember everybody was going to watch his games? I remember Antoine Walker going to watch his games. And I'm like, man, who is this kid? You know, they was like, yeah, he can play in an all-star game right now, like out of high school. And I was like, really? He that good? And so I just like, when he got drafted, I was like, man, I'm going to test him from day one. From day one, I was going at him. I was like, how you going to call this 19-year-old kid a king? Like, what has he done? And I don't know. We played the same position. And I always relish just challenging myself and playing against him.
How much did you try to get in his young head at that point?
Oh, all the time. The thing is, I would always talk to him, and he never used to say stuff, right? He never talked. I would say little things to him, jab at him, like, especially when he got the free throw line, Skip. I would always talk to him because he would miss crucial free throws.
He would.
I would just, I know that got to him.
So you would say something to him from alongside of the lane before he shot?
Yes, while he's at the line.
Like what? Do you remember?
Because he early reputation, he wasn't making critical free throws. I was well, you know he gonna miss. Like, I would tell him, like, oh, this is that time of the game where he's not gonna make these, y'all. You don't even worry about it. Just get ready to rebound. And then get a stick in his head. Really, like literally all the time.
So what do you remember from that 2010 series? It was the conference semifinals. He came in to Boston on a Friday night, and he was spectacular. It was one of the best games I ever saw him play. I forget the numbers, but it was 30, 10 and 10 or whatever. And they went up 2-1. Right. And then you put the clamps on him and he put the clamps on himself, and they lost 4, 5, and 6 to the point that, if you remember, Dan Gilbert eventually accused him of quitting in the series. And somebody in his camp put out the story to Stephen A. that LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because of a locker room issue. I think it was with Delonte West. What do you remember about 4, 5, and 6 that year?
Yeah, it was weird because, like, I just remember, like, when we went down 2-1, I said, look, Doc, I remember saying this to everybody on the team. I said, I'm going to put all my energy on the defensive end.
Good.
And that kind of took away from my offense a lot that series. I think we really were carried offensively by Rondo that series, but because I remember putting all my defensive effort. But he didn't seem right. Something didn't seem right. I don't know if it was the combination of whatever he was going through or me just way I was playing against him and stuff.
Maybe.
But, I'm not in their locker room. I don't know what's going on. I'm not in their bus. I'm not in their practices. All I know is I'm like, listen, I'm going to put all my energy in the guard this dude. And that's it. And we're going to find a way to win this series. Because they were the number 1 seed, I believe. I think they won like 60 games that year.
Yeah.
I think we were like the 4 seed. And then I just knew for some that everybody felt like this was going to be LeBron's last year in Cleveland. You could just, the energies just
You
felt.
could. Yeah.
The energy just felt like this was it. After we beat him a second time, he was like, #1 seed. They couldn't get over the hump. And you just knew something was going to happen in Cleveland. That's the energy that you felt in the playoffs and all through that series. And it was just like, it felt good to send him out of Cleveland, though. It did feel good.
It did. And you sent him out.
He sure did. Boston packed them up. Paul Pierce, what I love about him was his will to compete. It was the fact that he was being told that LeBron was a king. He wanted to challenge him as soon as he came into the league. It was just like, who is this guy? He's never done anything. And I mean, if you notice, Paul Pierce, he's just dropping like little bits of shade throughout. One of the biggest things, I mean, he pretty much says like he was a horrible shooter. He couldn't knock down free throws early in his career. He was known for that. He was known for choking at the end of games. This was the narrative. This was the perception of him. This is the way the players viewed him throughout the league. There wasn't this fear. There was no real respect for LeBron James or, thought that he couldn't be had. The thought was that, in fact, he could be put to the test and he could be had at any time. I mean, a guy 6'9", as big as LeBron was, scared of the late game free throw line, scared to drive the ball and get to the free throw line because he had to do it by himself. You can't blame anybody for that. You can't blame anybody for your performance at the free throw line except you. You own that, right? So those are the things that LeBron wants to avoid, things that he can't shirk the responsibility for. Paul Pierce said a couple of other things that I thought were a little shady. I mean, it was just he was transparent. He was open. He was just like, look, LeBron, I thought I could get in his head. He goes to the line and he's not going to make it anyway. He's going to choke. This is that time. This is that time. The end of the game. You're not going to make it, guys. Just get ready to rebound. Hilarious. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, guys. Paul Pierce is really funny. I mean, he said he was just like, nobody was getting physical with LeBron because look, somebody who's running down the court full head of steam, you're likely to get out of their way. You might not want to take that charge. Somebody's bum rushing the lane. They're not getting called for the charge. They're allowed to travel into the lane. They're allowed to just run over defenders. That's allowed in order to elevate their status in the league, in order to help them win, and to sort of get this attention that Kobe Bryant was getting. And Kobe Bryant was ascending and the league couldn't stop that, but they tried. And this was where the marketing of LeBron James came in. And this is where they were calling him a king and the chosen one and all these things. And he hadn't done anything. And that was Paul Pierce's point. Like, what has he done? What has he even accomplished? King of what? He's a high schooler. Let him come in the game and show us something. Imagine if they elevated Kobe Bryant straight out of high school or elevated Kevin Garnett. I mean, Kevin Garnett was the guy out of high school. Honestly, I enjoyed watching him play. He was absolutely sensational, electrifying on the court. Salute to Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and the Celtics, that championship team. They were just incredible. They were probably the last of a dying breed, the last of guys that just really, wanted to play basketball as a team, win as a team. And we're seeing that being brought back by Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and these guys. But there was really just nothing quite like that team and that squad and the way that they played together, the way they won that title. And yes, the way that they broke LeBron James. And Paul Pierce, you see him in this interview with Skip Bayless, and he's just so satisfied. And you even hear it in his voice that they were able to send LeBron James home, pack him up, and really send him out of Cleveland. So not just beat him in the playoffs, but that loss, it really changed the trajectory of LeBron James's career. And he packed himself up out of Cleveland and literally went to Miami, joined up with D Wade. He ran into his arms. He ran into, an older brother / father figure's arms in the league. He went crying to D Wade, I can't win by myself. I can't handle what's happening in the league. I'm too young for this. I don't even know what it is to be an adult. I'm just trying to navigate this. I'm trying to figure it out. I can't handle the media. I can't handle the press. I don't know what to say. I didn't go to college. I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to carry myself as a man. I don't know how to win. Most importantly, I don't know how to win. I missed the playoffs a couple of years. I went to the finals. I choked. I got broken by the Celtics and my teammates. My teammates betrayed me. So now I'm here in Miami. And Paul Pierce speaks about that a little bit with Skip Bayless. And they just sort of continue to talk about that sort of, that killer, that instinct, that will to win. And I'm gonna play the rest of this for you. It is interesting. So here we go.
Playoffs and all through that series, and it was just like, it felt good to send him out of Cleveland, though. It did feel good.
It did, and you sent him out. And he did join forces with Dwayne Wade, who I thought was great for him, and it helped to have Chris Bosh, obviously, and it helped to have Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra up above. And yeah, what did you see from him as he sort of grew up in Miami?
Well, the game, I think his legacy-changing game was game 6 versus us at home after we put him on the ropes again in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Had him on the ropes, yep.
Yeah, that was 2012 maybe? I think so. And it was 2012. We had him on the ropes, and that was the game I felt like LeBron turned the corner. It was probably his second greatest game to date, if not his best game. I remember the game versus Detroit. He scored like 28 or 30 straight.
He did.
But that game right there, with all the pressure on Miami Heat to go to the finals, for him to deliver, this was going to be that game where people were it was going to make or break LeBron. People were like, he's not clutch. He can't deliver. He can't get his team over the hump. And look what all he got. And so that game right there, when he just went, he just went nuclear on us. And I don't think there was nothing can do that. Nobody can do anything that day. And I think that really changed his trajectory. I mean, not that he wasn't going to be great, but it really took him to that next level. You know how certain great players just have those games where it's just like, oh, that game took them to the next level. And from that point on, it really changed how we looked at LeBron.
Was he different on the floor that night? Did you get a different aura, body language from him?
Man, he was from out the gate. I just remember how he attacked, because the game plan never changed with him. We want him to shoot jumpers and take fadeaways and going to limit his easy drives. And so he just started making those that day. He didn't say a word. You could see the look in his eye. He just had that look, Skip. Sometimes these players have that look. And I used to always see it with Kobe. I used to see it with Iverson, and he had that look that day. You know, he didn't always have it, but that day it was just one of them looks to where it was all business. And he delivered for him. You know, my hat goes off to him for what he was able to do that day, especially in Boston where we were tough to beat. And, it was similar, when Jordan had to get past the bad boys of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like similar to that. And, he got over the hump. And then from that point on, that's when he started making his finals runs.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of the finals, you faced Kobe and company twice. You beat them the first time, and then they did get even, though Kobe struggled in that game 7. How different was it for you guarding Kobe than guarding LeBron?
That's a good one. Because the Mamba, he just didn't have no let up. He just had no let up. I'm talking about, he always had the look. He always felt like he was always coming for your throat for some reason. Like, it was just like he played like a man possessed. And it's so mentally challenging. I just remember it was a point, even before the finals, I think he took like one regular season game. He took 40.
He said he took 41 shots on him. Paul Pierce, he keeps it real about LeBron and Kobe and the clear difference. And I mean, he says Kobe Bryant had that look And look, he gives LeBron credit. He gives LeBron credit for getting past them, and he compares it to Michael Jordan's journey when he got over the hump with the Bad Boy Pistons. And I've always said that we don't need to do this where we compare every single season and every minute of LeBron James's career to Michael Jordan. I think what's great about players is that they're going to have their own journey. They're going to have their own challenges and set of adversity, and it's about how they get through it. It's about how they break through what that journey was, what the story is, and how we're able to sort of navigate that, create this storyline of greatness and how they became great. And so when you hear that, like what LeBron had to do to be great, he kind of had to cheat the system. He had to go and team up with people. He had to go and grab other number one options and from other teams to be great. You know, I mean, he picked up Ray Allen from the Celtics, who just won a title not too long ago with them, right? So it's one of those things where you take a look at it and you can't respect it the same, or it's viewed as not as impressive. So it's not that, for me personally, there are people that don't count LeBron James in his titles, but I do. He has these titles. He won them. I count his accolades, but I just don't view them as being as impressive. And that's the difference. They are not as impressive as guys that came before him. And we have to constantly change and move the goalposts of what's acceptable, what's true greatness, because LeBron James cannot reach the heights of the guys that came before him. And so all of this is typically just to pad his legacy. But Paul Pierce, I love the way he speaks to Skip Bayless about just how it was to play against LeBron and the difference between playing against him and Kobe. Kobe was going to attack you. He was coming for your throat. He wanted to compete. You saw the will to win. He even goes on later on in the discussion to describe a moment where they're at the All-Star game and Paul Pierce shouts when Kobe Bryant's at the free throw line, he's going to choke just like he did in the finals. He tells this story and Kobe Bryant walks off the foul line and gets in his face. He wanted to fight. He was so angry. And, it's just, you want to compete. You want to be known for being a fierce competitor, a tough competitor, somebody that always wants to win and is not going to stop until they do, and is going to do what it takes at any turn to win. So, I really appreciate that about Kobe Bryant. LeBron James just didn't have that look. And Paul Pierce said it. I mean, he didn't always have it. He didn't always have that look. We didn't respect him like that. We don't see him as that guy. So I do want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys and what you think. I'm going to read some comments. Salute to Steam Engine. And he still doesn't know how to do most for all of those things. I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's a lot of things that LeBron James doesn't know. And Paul Pierce got that dog getting competition ready. He does have that dog. That's why I really like Paul Pierce. And for me, it's not about how many titles you win. It is about how you win. It's about how you play the game. And yes, having the hardware helps. I do appreciate guys like Michael Jordan that have 6 rings, Bill Russell that have 11 rings. They are some of the winningest players in NBA history. He went to 8 straight finals and 9 finals, 11 years. How much winning do you want? My issue is it got him. Basketball is a sweet science also. I couldn't agree more. Darius the Great, you were right at Sports Tea. And it's crazy because Paul Pierce isn't on LeBron, but if you say anything remotely negative about LeBron, that his fan base gets frazzled like a weak-minded hive mindset. I mean, and it's so crazy, right? Because Rich Paul talks about the mindset that you need to have to win, being selfless, being able to play in your role. LeBron James hasn't been able to play in his role for the past several seasons on the Lakers. Anthony Davis needed to be elevated to the number 1 option. He just wouldn't let that happen. Even Luka Doncic, oftentimes when they lose games, it's LeBron James trying to take over the game and play star ball, play Bron ball, when really it's time for Luka ball. Pierce is a prime example of a player who had to develop skills because he wasn't athletic. Chances are he's good, body most players at his position today. Interesting question. I agree that Pierce is a prime example of a guy that wasn't athletic and had to develop skills, but I do think that he would dominate in his position today because you have guys like James Harden with similar body types, and Paul Pierce doesn't play like that. He played on both ends of the floor, offense and defense, so I do think he would dominate today. I want to get to the other super chats. Stevie J, salute to you for the $2 super chat. It's really sad on what the game has become. I agree. It is sad how it has changed and turned, and it's just not, it doesn't have the same value that it once did. And I don't mean monetarily, I just mean emotionally. I mean the feeling that you get as a fan when you watch the NBA, it's a different kind of appreciation. I take a look and I'm like, okay, that was a great play. This is a great player. They're knocking down good shots, but I don't think that I'm looking at the greatest athletes that I've ever seen. And basketball should have the best athletes in the world across all sports. Naz, thank you and salute to you for the $10 super chat. Dom, how compelling would it be if Kawhi wins his third with the Clippers? He would be among the only superstar to win 3 rings with 3 teams like Bron. Rick Bucher made this point on the facility. I would love to see Kawhi Leonard win another ring. I don't think that he's deserving of it. I think that he's a guy that has cheated the system oftentimes as well. I get it. He's got no elasticity in his knees, but I think that this is a contract year for him, and yet somehow he's playing. So I don't respect people who only decide to play the game of basketball when they're in a contract year. I think it's disrespectful to the league. It's very disrespectful to fans and NBA fans who watch the sport, who look for watching the claw. I absolutely love Kawhi Leonard's game. I think he's a great offensive player. I think he is incredible defensively. The size of his hands, they remind you of Michael Jordan. And he's just, an amazing player that decided that he doesn't want to play anymore. And I do think that he should retire. I do think that he, should not be taking up a roster spot if he's not going to commit to the sport. So I want to make sure that Kawhi Leonard is committed before I, feel compelled or, have like some sort of thought for him to win a title. It would be great to see, but I just don't know that he's really committed to the game. Freddie Rentes, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Salute to you. Manure James needs to retire so the NBA can prosper. Absolutely. Inspire or retire. I don't know that LeBron James is inspiring players outside of playing as long as they can to squeeze as many dollars as they can out of the league. I mean, you have fat dad bod showing up, so I don't even know that he's inspiring people to stay in shape, because you don't necessarily need to be in shape for the NBA. You can be fat, you can be a dad bod, you can look, like crazy as hell showing up on the court and still have an NBA contract. I mean, this is crazy. And I mean, this is the reason why he was traded from the Mavericks. Lack of conditioning, showing up to the court, showing up to the NBA of all places with a dad bod. Nikola Jokic. Look at this. This is a non-athletic build. James Dad Bod Harden, look at him. This is a disgrace. So you don't have to show up looking like LeBron James in order to have a lengthy career. James Harden will be probably playing for 20 plus years too. No big deal. This is how you can show up, no problem. Not everybody's going to go to the Lebalco lab and get tuned up the way that LeBron will. Everybody goes into those chambers and, you go to the Lebalco lab, then, minus 70, minus 58 for the season. Beautiful, right? Can't make this stuff up, guys. But I do want to hear from you. I have time for 1 or 2 phone calls. Let's make them a minute or less. I really do have to get running to work. So call in, talk to me nice. We have our first caller. Thank you for calling Sports Tea. Talk to me nice.
What's up, Dom? How you doing?
Hey, T-Bert. Long time no talk. How are you feeling? How are you doing? You feeling much better?
I'm good. I'm so good. I caught the whole show today. You
love that
cooked
for
on
me.
all 4 topics. You are doing your thing. So good to see you and so good to hear from you. So let's start with this. Where would you like me to cook? Because I caught all 4 topics. Where you want me to start at?
Okay, so I need the call to be a minute or less. So maybe we can squeeze in one more call. So you pick the topic that was most compelling to you. Do you remember the questions? What topic did you feel like you wanted to chat about the most?
It don't matter. How about this? I'll just do 5 seconds on each one.
Sounds good. So with Rich
All
Paul,
right.
like, why is he disrespecting Chris Bosh?
Rich Paul, he's an idiot, right? And I didn't agree with him. But the Rich Paul thing that stood out the most was that Miami Heat wasn't a big 3. So real quick, you don't judge a big 3 based on post production. The big 3 is judged on pre-production when they first get put together. What is their potential? Who are they? Where are they at in their career? Now, when it's all said and done and it didn't pan out the way you wanted, oh, it was not a big 3. Yes, it was. Don't call them not a big 3 based on their failures. You determine whether a team is a big 3 based on pre-production, right? All right, mind the game. I'm a huge Steve Nash fan. I absolutely refuse to watch that brainwashing show. I haven't watched not one segment, and nor will I. And
I
I
don't
would
blame
love,
you, but why?
I
Like,
love Steve Nash.
do you think, like, does LeBron James believe NBA fans are stupid?
Exactly. And I'm not, you can't, from an OG, you can't fool me with this narrative driven brainwashing stuff. So shout out to Steve Nash. I loved him in his prime. I loved his game. Like, he's one of the greatest point guards, greatest visionaries on the court of all time, but I will not watch 1 second of your show.
Do you
Tim
believe that
Hardaway.
maybe he's going to become an NBA coach after this, or is that the reason why he's teamed up for this show? What do you think?
Him teaming up with LeBron James could put him in a position to become a coach, especially if LeBron happens to retire, hopefully, tomorrow and owns a team. He'll absolutely put Steve Nash somewhere, on his team. So it could be leading up to something big. You just never know. But I love Steve Nash. Will not watch his show. Sorry, LeBron tainted it. Tim Hardaway. Love OG. He cooked on there. And I wish he would have went harder on the hand checking and straightened Gilbert Arenas out. The hand checking.
I thought that was
So,
absolutely ridiculous. And he let him, it
the
was like he
hand
let him
checking-
have a win, right?
Yes, the hand checking was very, very effective back then because it was a half court offense. Of course, if somebody's running full steam ahead 100 miles per hour, you can't hand check nobody. Then that's not what the hand checking was for. The hand checking, it was a half court based offense. Point guards had to run plays, right? And that's when you could hand check them, shut them down, and dictate which way you wanted them to go. So I wish you'd have went hard on that. But shout out to Hardaway. He did a phenomenal job. Put Gil and them, and
in their place.
Put them in their place, 100%. And the last topic, Paul Pierce. Yeah, he gave LeBron his flowers on certain things. And he cooked LeBron. Like you said, I mean, I can't really talk too much more on the Paul Pierce because you absolutely cooked and left no meat on the bone on there.
I mean,
so
what
shout out
do
to
you
you.
think? I mean, like, don't you think it's telling that nobody thinks he's the guy? Nobody thinks he's a killer. Nobody thinks he has that look on his eye on a consistent basis. Isn't that what's really missing from the game, the competition?
Right. A true basketball player and a true warrior, hearing Paul Pierce, you get to really hear what he's not saying out loud. He's saying LeBron can be punked. He doesn't have a jump shot. You go under on him and he had no heart, and you could absolutely
Just tear
depend
it
on
out.
him choking. You could depend on him choking, and he wouldn't even push back. And if you remember, he said, we knew this was his last year. They punked him so bad and made him leave Cleveland. And let's address this. Oh, LeBron didn't have no help. He had a bum team in Cleveland.
Right.
They were the number one seed in the NBA. How can this be a bum team? No, you had the scarecrow as your leader.
Exactly.
So that's what I heard.
We're talking about somebody who just basically like said that he was sedated. Did you remember when Skip Bayless kind of dropped that in there? Yeah, he said he had needed to be sedated. He loves to say that.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
Skip Bayless loves talking about the sedated bit. He loves bringing that up.
The sedation goes a little deeper because when that was going on, there was millions of stories that was written and some facts came out.
Exactly.
It was during the clutch moments in the game when the games was on the line, he had to resort to doing some type of zen to remove the anxiety out of his body so that he could perform because he was full of anxiety and he would fold under pressure. So it was more of a zen technique, that the meditation technique that the zen people do. Mm-hmm. That's what he was deferring to because he was LeChoke.
LeChoke. That's right. I mean, we can't make this up, T-Bert. We really can't. I mean,
absolutely.
And it's just crazy how much of a bully LeBron James is now. Mm-hmm. He doesn't bully people like Paul Pierce. Why is that? Why do you think he doesn't bully people like Paul Pierce who know, like, what, like, hey, I know you. I was there. You know what I mean?
Right. So let me answer that question. The reason why he bullies people like a Chris Bosh, like a Stephen A., it's like a traditional bully in school. Bullies in school don't bully everyone. They bully the ones who they can.
Right.
That's it.
It's just really, it's really unfortunate. I mean, when you take a look, Chris Bosh, he had an Instagram post, and I'm putting it up on the screen now. I wasn't going to talk about this before, but I mean, when you read what he writes about being an Olympian, this isn't a guy who was a role player. This wasn't a damn role player. You know what I mean? He's a two-time Hall of Famer. Part of the 2008 Redeem team, somebody brought to the team to fix the failures of, LeBron and from the previous Olympics. But yet he's a role player. I just can't believe that they would go on to disrespect him. And this is a guy who would never say anything bad.
Absolutely, Dom. He absolutely wasn't a role player. Let me just hit you with this fact. If you go back in time, you can look it up online. If you look at 2010, top power forwards in the league, across the board, it said Dirk was number 1, Chris Bosh was number 2. Chris Bosh was him before the terminology him.
I mean, look at him. This is a guy, he was an incredible athlete, an incredible player, incredible teammate. One of the things that he says here, he says, I didn't lead the team in points. I didn't start every game, but I knew exactly why I was there. I was there to rebound, to switch, to help, to connect. I was there to make the stars shine brighter by doing the things that didn't show up in the box score. Some call that invisible work. I call it purpose.
That's a leader.
This is somebody who's a leader. He says it wasn't just about basketball. It was about restoring a legacy, about pride, about respect, and the power of playing for something bigger than yourself.
And it was about winning.
Exactly.
Right?
It was about
if you remember what Kobe did on the team. He came to Coach K and said, I want to be the best defender on the team. I'm going to stick all the opposing team's best offense players and they won't exist. Right? That's not a role player. That's a leader. Kobe was him on offense and defense. Stop playing. Chris Bosh was him on offense and defense. And Chris Bosh made
even the way that he signs off on this, he says, this isn't just a celebration of what we did. It's a reminder of how we did it and why that still matters. So I really appreciate Chris Bosh. I wish he wasn't disrespected in that way. and in that manner. And I always ask myself, does something need to be said? One, does it need to be said by me? Two, and does it need to be said that way? And I don't think that any of that was necessary in this case with LeBron James and Rich Paul. And I just think they're absolute disgrace. They are ruining this league and the camaraderie and the fraternity that exists in the NBA, the brotherhood. There is no brotherhood. You just denigrated your brother. You just completely annihilated somebody for no reason, somebody who did the invisible work, somebody who showed up every day ready to win and to work hard and to try to restore a legacy that you soiled, so that you tarnished, LeBron. And so it's just really disappointing. And T-Bert, I just want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for calling. We've all missed your calls and enjoyed them so much. So thanks for cooking on this. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks. All right, have a great show. Talk to you.
You too. All right, guys, we'll take one more call. I love chatting with T-Bert. He is truly my twin, and I really appreciate him. So salute to you, T-Bert. And yeah, we have time for one more call. So if you guys want to call in on this, let me know your thoughts. Talk to me nice. I really appreciate you guys watching. I'll read some comments in the meantime before we get our last call for the morning. If nobody will call in, then I'll just end the stream. But thank you for the super chats. And this has just been a really enjoyable stream for me. You guys have just been super funny and very entertaining, super engaged in the chat. So I want to just ask you guys one more time, do me a favor and like the video. Let's run up the likes, smash the like button for me. Where are we at? Let's see. We have about 142. We have like 200 people watching. Let's get the likes up to like 180, 175. We have one more caller. Thank you for calling Sports T. Talk to me nice.
Hey, T, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Who's this that we have on the line?
Yes, wonderful show as usual. As the other gentleman said, you always cook. You hit every point. I can't wait till you're just nationwide on TV. Everything, girl. You deserve it. Yeah, I mean, I've been commenting through in the comment section. You guys are really pumping. You saying stuff is hilarious. We're laughing, but it's a serious matter because we all love basketball. I definitely caught the what Rich is saying, the Pat McAfee thing, the whole everything dealing with this guy in 20 years is what his legacy is. All right. This is not basketball, right? When you look at his 20 years, the Kobe hating, let's get together so we can beat this one dude up. Let me go ahead and take off my tank top because I'm from here and y'all have made me mad and I'm leaving here. It's just, I'm gonna go to the Lakers. Like everything about it. Okay, it's not the way it was. We all understand that. You've made your point, homeboy. You are nothing like Kobe. You're nothing like Michael. You're nothing like the old head. So you came in as a king, and I told you this before. This is your kingdom. Okay, this ain't Game of Thrones. You have 0 dragons. It just is what it is. I'm one of those people, when I look at sports, I said it earlier, it's a science to it. I also said to have a nickname in basketball, you have to earn that. You have to. The truth. Paul Pierce is the truth. I'm in Boston right now. I saw when those guys came together, and they did that in their first year. They got together. It was Ubuntu, and they won. You understand? Anything's possible. Not 5, not 6. That wasn't possible. That wasn't possible when you said it, But at the end of the day, we support what we call the brand. We support what we call the league. Okay. At the end of the day, the NBA is on attack from NFL because Christmas Day games that used to be all NBA. The NHL hockey, they have 82 games just like we do. It's amazing. TNT said we don't need the NBA because they have hockey, they have baseball. See, this is how sports works, right? And the NBA, just like baseball, was created here, football created here. Then they wanted to get international players in, and look where we are. The most international sport is soccer. Where's the United States in soccer? So we do sports differently. We're talking about kids' games played by grown people, and they get paid for it. Kids will play this sport for free. Give them shoes, give them a court, give them a ball. They will play all day long, and they will thank their mothers. You understand? Give me $1 billion right now, I bet you I beat anybody. That's what you're supposed to say. Not, oh yeah, I get to play with King James. No. Billionaires got nuts, from what I heard. Okay? If you made $1 billion off of something, you should at least show some respect to it. You know what I'm saying? I love the game. And we'll know that you love the game because the game loves you back. It gave you billions. Come on, bro. But you said 60 seconds. I'm gone in 60 seconds. You keep doing what you're doing, woman. And I appreciate your show, and I appreciate everybody supporting her show.
Thank you so much. And can I just have your name one more time?
This is Old Benny Fitz. Catch you guys later.
Thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it. Man, I love these calls this morning. It was just really incredible to connect with you guys. It looks like we got another super chat that came through. So thank you and salute to you. It's not that serious for the $5 super chat. I said this earlier in the chat. 90s basketball play created narratives. However, narratives creates today's basketball. Absolutely. It's like the media will say, LeBron's getting his 5th ring. Just watch this. LeBron's getting his 5th ring. That's what they say. And then then the refs and the officials in Vegas start working, right? And then they start trying to officiate them into the finals. And, it's just, it's going to be a really interesting postseason. It's not that serious. Thanks for this comment, because we're going to see some things happen. And I think later tonight, I do want to address the play-in tournament. We've got to break down some of these games, because what we've seen in some of these games are some true, just like trickery. We're seeing the storylines and the narratives created just right through officiating. So I can't wait to get into some basketball and really cover the playoffs with you guys. I want to make sure that I'm, coming in hot either after games or right in the next morning for you guys. So, really great content soon to come. I also do have another show lined up where we're going to have to really break down some of the narratives and some more lies that LeBron has been spewing and telling, because we don't want those things to just be ignored. We can't let LeBron James and Klutch Sports get away with this. This is literally another situation where Klutch strikes again. So we've talked about Rich Paul and his lies about Miami Heat. We've talked about minding the game and how LeBron's not really minding anything. Steve Nash is like the brain behind the actual game and how they talk about the sport. But, he can't convince us to enjoy today's game. He's not going to be able to force that on us. He's not going to be able to convince people that what they see today is somehow better than Michael Jordan and that 90s era. And I'm going to say 80s, 70s, 60s, every era was better than LeBron James. I'd much rather sit there and watch Bill Russell play the Lakers every single day than watch today. I'd much rather watch Bill Russell play the Lakers every day than to watch Luka and LeBron on the Lakers. Hands down. But that's me. That's my opinion. It is my opinion. We all have one, right? And we talked about Tim Hardaway, and we saw him go scorched earth on a Gills Arena and really just kind of, go blood on there. So that was really great. And we heard from Paul Pierce. We heard him say a lot of things that we've all been saying. We've heard him say the things that people are afraid to say as current players in the league and as past players, because they don't want to affect their media career, their post NBA career somehow by going against LeBron James. So, Paul Pierce definitely threw some shots and they landed. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you calling in as well. Really great to spend the morning with you all. Have a wonderful day. Happy Friday. And don't forget to tune in to Man Down Sports at 4:30 p.m. And I'll see you guys probably late night. But salute to everybody in the chat. Don't forget, like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's really the most important thing, that we share Sports Tea. So share it out on your social media. Let your friends and family know if you like the content. Let's grow this community. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.